Dr. Ramaswamy, Senior Consultant, Hemato-Oncology and Bone Marrow Transplant Unit from Aster Medicity, and my colleague.
ഞാൻ ഡോക്ടർ ദീപക് ചാൾസ്, കൺസൾട്ടൻറ്റ് ഹീമറ്റോളജിസ്റ്റ്, ഹെമറ്റോളജി ആൻഡ് സ്റ്റെം സെൽ ട്രാൻസ്പ്ലാന്റ് യൂണിറ്റ്, ആസ്റ്റർ മെഡിസിറ്റി.
We would like to share some of the basics of the bone marrow transplantation which we both are doing as a unit in our hospital. I would like to share our discussion with Dr. Deepak. Dr. Deepak, what is bone marrow for the awareness of the public?
So, bone marrow is a spongy tissue which is seen within restricted sites of the bone. So, as we grow into adulthood, the percentages of the marrow come down from say 80% to 20%, and it will be limited to particular bones, especially the hip bones and sometimes the vertebra and sternum.
What is meant by stem cells in the bone marrow?
Stem cells are cells which have the particular population to regenerate themselves. They can divide into multiple lines of cells and give rise to hematopoietic cells. That means cells which can give rise to red cells, platelets and WBCs. Red cells help carry oxygen, WBCs fight infections, and platelets prevent bleeding.
What is mean by stem cell transplantation? Is it a surgery, or can you tell me, sir, a little bit?
So, stem cell transplantation, previously the name was bone marrow transplant, where we used to take the stem cells from the bone marrow. Nowadays, the stem cells, we know it is being circulated in the blood. So, the stem cell transplantation as such is not a surgical procedure. It includes an invasive procedure whereby you infuse the stem cells which are collected into the blood directly through a vein. So, there is no surgical procedure involved as in an organ transplantation. So, how do we get the stem cells? So, the stem cells can be mobilized, or from the bone marrow it can be taken to the peripheral blood by particular injections. So, that is the concept of a stem cell transplant.
Can you discuss on the sources of stem cells and types of the transplant?
So, the stem cells are there in all of us. It is residing basically in the bone marrow, and a particular very small portion circulates in the blood. So, the sources of stem cells, there are basically two. In the embryonic cells are the cord blood stem cells which can be isolated immediately after the delivery through the placental circulation, and two, the stem cells which are there residing in our bone marrow. These stem cells can be brought into our blood by particular injections called as colony stimulating factors, and that is used as the sources. Now, coming to the types of transplant, very broadly dividing, we can have two types of transplant: autologous transplants and allogenic transplant. Autologous transplant, as the name indicates, the source of stem cells is our own body. So, suppose we have a disease for me, I will be treated for the particular disease, and the stem cells are taken at a time when my disease is in a very good control. I will receive more treatment for my disease, and these stem cells are infused back into my body. Whereas in allogenic transplant, you need a donor who requires for you to support for your stem cells. So, there are particular indications for where you do an autologous transplant and where you do an allogenic transplant. I think we will discuss that later. Now, my question is Dr. Ramaswamy, so we shall have a discussion on that. So, who all can be a donor?
In autologous transplant, the donor will be the patient. After controlling the disease, stem cell will be collected from the patient to give it back to him after the conditioning regimen. In allo transplant, the donor will be either siblings, brothers, sisters, if 100% matching is there. If it is 100% matching, it is called matched sibling. Sometimes they may not have 100% matching, the chances will be around 70%. In that case, we may have to go for the registry sources for the donor. Registry there are available nationally as well as internationally. But haploidentical transplantation also there, wherein the donor will be either the brothers, sisters, or their own children, or the parents. If they are young, we can take, they may not match 100%, but the chances of matching may be 50 to 100%. That those donor can be considered if there is no option for the success of the transplantation to control the disease.
What are the diseases where you consider patient a transplant candidate?
For auto transplant, generally conditions like lymphomas, cancers of the lymph glands, either the Hodgkin's or a non-Hodgkin's, sometimes they may not respond to the primary disease chemotherapy, that is called primary refractory, or the disease can come back. Those times we may have to consider. Myeloma, at this point of time, standard of treatment is transplantation after the initial chemotherapy to keep the disease for the longer time to control, keep the disease under control for a longer time. In case of allotransplantations, generally it is considered majority of the time when the leukemia is not under control, or some leukemia based on the genetics features, we can decide that they may not respond to the chemotherapy alone. We may have to go for the transplantation upfront after the disease is under control. Most of the leukemias, like acute leukemias, ALL, AML, there are sometimes bone marrow failure syndromes are there, whereas the bone marrow is not functioning. Such conditions, either it may be inherited, which sometimes controversial, or acquired condition, a condition called aplastic anemia. And in the pediatric age groups, it is being very well established some of the conditions like immunodeficiencies or sometimes storage disorders, and also blood disorders where hemoglobinopathies and sickle cell anemia, they are all well established condition for the stem cell transplantations.
Now, what are the preparations a patient has to undergo before going for a transplant? Or what do you mean by a preparative regime for a patient?
Right. Preparation regimen, sometimes called conditioning regimen. What does that mean? Either by giving the chemotherapy and or radiotherapy, the patients, the stem cells are being killed myeloablative. That is called a terminology called myeloablative, because we wanted to kill the leukemic cells or the bad cells which are there, and also the immunologically competent cells from the recipient, so that we should not get the rejection. So we are giving a chemotherapy and or radiotherapy, that is called conditioning regimen, by which we will be destroying. This is called conditioning regimen. After that, we will give the stem cells, whether it is an autologous or allogenous stem cell transplantation.
Now, what are the complications or what are the issues which you can be expect when you undergo a transplant?
Generally, when we give the stem cells, we will be, as Dr. Deepak mentioned, that it will be given like a blood products. Now it has to go to the bone marrow and then it has to multiply. So there is a time interval between 2 to 4 weeks, depends upon the transplant. If in case of autologous transplantation, it may take up to 2 to 3 weeks maximum. And in a case of allotransplantation, 3 to 4 weeks it can take it. Again, depends upon what is the source of stem cells. There may be a delay in the recovery also has been expected. During this period, they are profoundly immunologically they are incompetent and cells are very low. They may have to give a blood and platelets sometimes for the support, and they are very high chance of developing an infection. We have to give an antibiotics.
What do you mean by a graft rejection, and what is a graft versus host disease in terms of a transplant?
Graft rejection, which we all come across when we do the kidney transplant, heart transplant or liver transplant or something. That is, the patient immunity is strong and it is rejecting the donor with solid organs, whether it may be a kidney or whatever the transplant may be. But in a case of stem cell transplantations, when we are replacing the stem cells, it is reconstituting not only the stem cells, the hematopoietic system as you mentioned, but also the immunologically competent cells which will be from the donor. So what happens is, this immunologically competent cells from the donor can elicit some reaction that is called graft versus host disease, which is peculiar to the stem cell transplantation, unlike in solid organ transplantation where you can get a graft rejection. So both can happen in a stem cell transplantation, but we will be more concerned about the graft versus host disease because the graft rejection is only 5 to 10%. Whereas graft versus host disease, even if you have a fully matched sibling, it can go up to 40 to 60%, depends upon the degree. There is a grades for the GVHD, it will be there.
Now, having understood the concept of transplant, what are the success rates of a transplant?
Yeah. Definitely. Whenever we say the transplantation, there is an associated complications are there. So GVHD, infection, all these things can increase. Generally, the success rate depends upon for which we are doing the transplantation. As I mentioned to you, when the bone marrow failure like aplastic anemia, idiopathic, the success rate can go up to 80% to 90%. And in a case of thalassemia, it can go to 80 to 90% if it is done in the early stage when there is no iron overload. Even sometimes sickle cell anemia, if there is no end organ damage, they can have a success rate of 80%. But when we go for generally for the transplantation for a cancerous conditions, the success rate may not be up to 80%, it may go somewhere around 50 to 60%, again depends upon the status of the disease what we are doing the transplantation. So basically the success will depends upon the condition for which we are doing it.